Hello, this is Palico Patch and welcome back to another episode of Sleepy Sunday with the game, the away team. Lost Exodus, added content, not DLC, it's free to play. I say free to play, you got to pay for the base game, but hey, it's free stuff. And we're all about free stuff here. Well, not all the time, but hey, you get what you pay for. And other like-minded quotes. We're going to stop there. So the last episode, we had a pretty technical episode, in all fairness. We went to a planet and came across this statue and coordinates. And it's going to lead us to another place. And it was a weird one. It was part of it was made so only a human could understand. And part of it was made so only an AI could understand. And that meant, really, that it was meant for us. Because we are human and AI combined. We're one well-oiled machine. It's just a shame that machine is a nose hair trimmer. But hey ho, never mind. We've still got 4 people left, so we've had 2 clean episodes, which is great. We are running a little low on food, in all fairness, but by the by, it could have been a lot worse. Because we left the end of the last episode after successfully, I might add, repairing a breach of the ship's outer hubry, core, skin, wall, as good a word as any to use. I was trying to be technical there. Hey ho. And yes, we managed to survive, and everything seems to be working pretty okay. As I said, no one's dead anymore, so we're doing all right. There is a note on this sector which we will read before cracking on. It states, a crude face carved into the surface of the dusty moon on Asimos 66M led the crew to discover quotes from Prometheus Unbound and coordinates to an unknown system that we've designated Benford. So we're heading to Benford is what we're trying to say here. Without further ado, let's crack on, shall we? First things first, let's go to Shiner 73S, see what's going on there. It'd be rude not to have a look. So it's a star class G. It's a station, which is okay, I suppose. 10 degrees Celsius, a little bit chilly. You might want to put on a long sleeve t-shirt. I don't think you're going to need a jumper, but a long sleeve t-shirt at the very least. Atmosphere, around 15% oxygen. Doesn't sound too bad. Habitability, 38.49%. That's pretty low. That's not good. Gravity's pretty high. You know, it's double what it is on the old Earth. So it's going to take a bit of effort to lift our feet. But hey ho. Summary: the planet is clearly dead, incapable of supporting life. The surface is barren, the magnetosphere blown away. Perhaps there might be something far beneath the surface, but this seems unlikely. A much better prospect would seem to be the space station in orbit around the planet. Not only is it powered on, but it seems to recognise you and automatically broadcasts landing instructions. This seems like something you shouldn't ignore. You alert the crew. Ah, well, we've done it now. Let's go and have a look. Who are we taking this time around? Well. It's a space station. I mean, how are we looking? Leader times 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. So Geordie, I think, has to come. He has to be the engineer. He needs to make it up. The other guys have all got a little bit of extra experience over him. We are going to need a medic. That's for sure. I mean, everyone's just as good as each other here. I'm thinking, because it's turning out that Space Wizard is our MVP. So I think just to round him off a little, I'm going to pop him in the medic bay. We'll give Dr. Phil a rest this time around, and we'll lead with Jean-Luc. I mean, Dr. Phil. He can run inventory in the medi bay. It sounds as good as any, I suppose. Let's crack on. So, the planet is clearly dead. We've done that bit. There are no signs of life on board, you say, but it's possible that there's something on board worth checking out. Indeed, the station's components seem likely to have been repurposed from one of your predecessor's ships. The materials are a good match, and this was one of the proposed destination systems. Perhaps they arrived, found the planet unsuitable for habitation, and decided to stick around anyway? We have no idea what to expect here, but we could use some food and fuel if you can't find it, you say? Or if you can find it, we need it. We need food. Use all appropriate caution and stay in your suits. Initial scans say the air is breathable, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. If the previous crew isn't around, then who knows what might have gone wrong. It doesn't take the shuttle very long to reach the station. While the crew docks, you set up for a few dozen kilometres away and follow the station along in orbit. A very stable orbit, you notice, and one unlikely to decay for at least a few thousand years. You don't think you'll stick around for long enough to find out, though. Upon docking, the shuttle door opens to reveal a cavernous chamber. some 30 metres across, immense for a station of this particular design. Gravity is somewhat low, but enough for the crew to manoeuvre without difficulty, so they make their way out onto the station. Oxygen levels remain at the low end of optimal, so you remind the crew to keep their helmets on. Before you give any further direction, a portal at the far end of the chamber slides open, and a vaguely humanoid form trundles across the room. From a distance it appears possibly human, but as it approaches it becomes clear that it is artificial. It is an artificial life form. A robot, plainly speaking, albeit one adorned in patchwork robes with a makeshift wig of some sort atop a large cylindrical head. I don't know if anyone else has noticed, says Space Wizard, but that wig appears to be made from human hair, and not just hair either, scalps. That appears to be accurate, you say, although they look very old. The faint traces of blood visible are well beyond dried, and in fact the entire thing appears ready to fall to pieces. Say hello, I guess, but be ready to run for it. That sounds sensible. That sounds sensible. Good day, tries Jean-Luc Picard. And a good day to you, says the robot. A mighty good day indeed. Awake, awake all, shouts the robot, clearly speaking to others than the crew. At long last, the players are here. At last we can begin. Without affording you time to reply or giving the crew time to react, the robot immediately trundles over to a console and presses a button. Strange music, a cross between an organ and a trumpet, begins to sound. This is very odd. We need but assign the roles. Now, which of you shall be the necromancer? Let's see, how about you? Here are your lines. The robot extends a clawed arm-like appendage and hands a sheaf of paper to Space Wizard. Seems pretty fitting. Can't argue that. This guy, this electrical person, he seems to know what's going on. I can't fault him. Necromancer, straight to the Space Wizard. That's cold hard logic for you. There. Beautiful, beautiful. Actual paper. I wonder where he got that from. Very good. And you shall be the alchemist, it continues, giving a few sheets to Geordie LaForge. It then turns and hands another stack of paper to Jean-Luc Picard and says, and then you will be the fool. Anyone else? You could be part of the chorus. I'll tell you what to say when the time comes. Excellent. Let's get started. Tell you we don't have time for this. I'll just go along with it, I suppose. Well, you know what? It appears to be a mad AI/robot wearing a human scalp. We can't see any guns. I'd like to think that it isn't armed, but it is a robot. It's going to hit hard. I think we should just go along with it. Very well, says Jean-Luc Picard. We'll go along with your play. Oh, this is no mere play, says the robot. This is a service, a mystery play, a liturgical drama, perhaps, in the medieval tradition, but much more than a mere play. I implore you to take your role seriously. Now then, let us begin. Welcome, spirits all, says the robot. It rolls over to a wall and pushes a button, and the chamber walls flicker as an uncountable number of monitors come to life, or, at least, uncountable until they come into view of the crew's suit cameras, at which point you count 10,000 of them, all but two containing a human face. Each one appears to be connected to an independent system. Any idea what's going on here, says Jean-Luc Picard. Not yet, you say. If I had to guess, I'd say that those monitors were crew members. But you are the only crew on board, besides the robot, of course. I think they're all dead. Ladies, gentlemen, shouts the robot at an ear-splitting volume. Welcome one and all to the inaugural presentation of Janus Torbot's The Three Gentlemen of an Interstellar Night's Winter, a tale recently added to the Apocrypha by myself. Or Apocrypha, I think is how you say that. Not part of the official canon as of yet, but most assuredly the great bard himself will deem it worthy at such time as he decides it is appropriate to regale us with his mighty presence. Let us begin. I was wondering when we'd meet our first insane robot. Yes. Act 1, Scene 1, says the robot. A spaceship. Enter a necromancer, an alchemist, and a fool. Exit the fool. Enter the fool again. Jean-Luc Picard says, awaked from slumber so soon? What is this folly? Or 'tis it wisdom true? Why we three? I shall away to find out. Exit the fool, says the robot. Whither art thou goest? Reads the Space Wizard. Fool! If mortals be fools, ye be the most mortal. I say true. A man can die but once from his mortality, but you have died 1,000 times 1,000 with fine folly. True fool thee. Verily indeed, reads Geordie LaForge. This fool's foolish words put wisdom itself to rest. Fool who thinks himself wise, but you are not wise, you fool. Enter the fool, says the robot. Some of this dialogue is a bit awkward. I know nothing of death, thus I fear it not, says Jean-Luc Picard, reading from the script. But if I did speak of death, it would be not folly to say that death itself be folly, and not too soon coming. For our slumber's end have, as I suspected, come too soon, and we are far from our destination to reach it, I fear. What is thy meaning? Asks Space Wizard. I meanest this, says Jean-Luc Picard, that our journey shall be cut short, and all shall die, lest we find some solution to our plight. For this reason hath nature awakened us, that we might ad-lib. What is it? Says the robot, clearly annoyed. This says ad-lib, says Jean-Luc Picard. Does that mean to say ad-lib or to ad-lib? It means what it says the robot. But now you've ruined it anyway, so let's just skip on to the next scene, shall we? Oh, we're all going to die. He sounds kind of embarrassed, oddly enough. Ask the robot what kind of play this is. Just move along and let's get this over with. Well, he does sound kind of embarrassed. Do we want to push that? That might send him over the edge. I think we'll ask what kind of play this is. A quick question, asked Jean-Luc Picard. Is this meant to be more of a comedy or a tragedy or... Aha, says Jean-Luc Picard. It's neither of those. This is some sort of history, isn't it? A retelling. Indeed it is, says the robot. How wise of you to notice. Now let us move on. Act 1, Scene 2. Still on the same spaceship. Enter a necromancer, an alchemist, and a fool. Exit the fool. I have my dark arts and spirits consulted, says Space Wizard, for methods by which to contain our souls, just as thou, thine alchemist, have endeavoured upon your alchemical arts to speed our journey. But the fool hath yet offered nothing. Would you another had been awakened in his stead? Enter the fool, says the robot. Did I hear someone call me hence, says Jean-Luc Picard. If thou require my wisdom, why hast thou not callest me sooner? That the fool may speak wisely amongst wise men who would be fools. What? We did not call, says Space Wizard, for thou hast done enough damage already and should be elsewhere, as in space, perhaps. What damage? Asked Jean-Luc Picard. Blame me not for this, but blame the ship. I have done no wrong by you. You have done wrong. You are wrong. The wrong is sought, says Geordie LaForge. You are one with the ship, in kind. Thou foul creature conspirator. What say you to this? Do you denieth it? That thou conspired to doom us, without fear of doom thyself? Exit the fool spluttering, says the robot. As an aside, do you think that was too subtle? Does it make sense? Do we just be blunt with him? Absolutely none of this makes sense, any sort of sense. You're saying the fool is a robot, or the fool was the ship's pilot? I think going by what's all been said, the fool was the ship's pilot, but he was only following orders. But hey, we'll do that. The fool was your ship's pilot, asked Jean-Luc Picard, steering them wrong. The pilot was an artificial intelligence, says the robot, and I can see where you might see the fool as an allegorical representation of the ship. That's an interesting reading on the text. Not as intended, but it could be read that way. Let's move on. Act 1, Scene 3. Still on the same spaceship. Enter the fool. Exit the fool. Enter the same fool. Exit the fool again. Enter the fool. They call me fool, said Jean-Luc Picard, but they are the fools who call the fool fool. Though there be folly, there is sanity in it as well. For there is nothing purely foolish, but that those calling it foolish make it so by calling it such. Chorus, says the robot. Is this Elizabethan theatre or Greek tragedy? There being no one to act as chorus, no one says anything. The robot looks fairly troubled by this, but says nothing. Enter the alchemist and the necromancer talking, says the robot. Let us cease this riotous discourse and come to the heart of the matter, says Space Wizard, which is how to save the crew. I propose we use my dark spells to solve the matter. Their bodies may perish, but their souls shall survive on. Nay, says Geordie LaForge, we should use my alchemical skills to solve our plight, and hence save body and soul alike, or in the trying die. You call the fool foolish, yet you are the fools, says Jean-Luc Picard. There is but one solution of sense, and we must take it. We three should live, and the others perish. Exunt omnes, says the robot. That's Latin for exit all, but don't really exit, not really. So it has a sense of humour. Act 2, Scene 1. Still on the same spaceship, but a different room. Maybe a hallway or something. Enter the necromancer, followed by the alchemist and the fool. This all seems like an incredible waste of time, but we've been scanning and analysing every scrap of data since the robot appeared. You're almost entirely certain now that this station is made from the remnants of one of the predecessor ships, most likely one of the later Aleph generation ships or an early Omega. It would be useful to figure out if the robot was housing the ship's AI or was a different entity completely. You're not sure which would be easier to deal with, but it would be useful to know. Try to subtly get some more information out of the robot, you tell the crew. Emphasis on subtle. Don't let on that you're talking to me. We need to find out if it's dangerous or not. This must be a ship if it has hallways, says Geordie LaForge. Our ship only has a couple of connected rooms. Yes, the ship is quite large with multiple decks, says the robot. Moving on. As we three said we would meet again, says Geordie LaForge, and so we met we have, and forthwith to choose what to do to stave off the sorrows that would come at us. Maybe I should write a play. Couldn't be worse than this. Yes. My spirits have spoken to me, says Space Wizard, and they say we should trust to the spirit world. The bodies are lost. There is no way to save them, but the spirits may yet be saved. We should focus our efforts on this matter and leave off others. Nay, says Geordie LaForge, the body is the thing, and we must save those forthwith. We should combine all our efforts and my potions to create a manner of moving faster to create our destination. And what say you, fool? Says the Space Wizard. I say again as I said afore, says Jean-Luc Picard. Saving all is lost, a fool's errand, but one I would not take myself. We should endeavour to save ourselves, strip those yet asleep of that which binds them to our world, and hence sustain ourselves. Some may live, yet others die. This is our miserable lot, but we have no medicine but hope, so strip not our hope away. These that sleep know not misery, only we know their misery, and 'tis not much. Wow. That is savage. So that basically they're going to eat or turn the people who are still in stasis into food in order to sustain themselves for longer. That's wow. That's sad. That's real sad. Jean Picard hams it up. Jean Picard? I don't know what that was. Jean-Luc Picard hams it up, gnashing their teeth and wailing as they collapse to the ground. The robot seems to like it, but it's hard to tell. Act 2, Scene 2. Enter the Necromancer and the Fool. Dost thou truly believe your spirits? Asked Jean-Luc Picard. How canst thou be certain that the spirit can be saved though the body die? How to not know if they shall instead sleep forever and a day, never to wake? I do not know, but I believe, says Space Wizard. I dare not doubt. Doubts are traitorous, but they make us fail to attempt, and as such ensure we cannot succeed. And if I be wrong, so be it. No harm done. My drugs are quick. A kiss as one would die, shaken loose from this inauspicious starship and its desperate pilot. 'Tis true that nothing will come of nothing, says Jean-Luc Picard. This in itself is not folly. But if nothing follows something, then nothing has led to nothing. If life be but a walking shadow, and thy snuff out their lights, what then? Nothing, and nothing, and nothing. Shakespeare must be rolling in his grave right now. Yes. And nevertheless, I will perform my magic, says Space Wizard. If I be wrong, so be it. 'Tis no worse than what thee proposeth. For if thee proposeth nothing, then something is greater than nothing. If these spirits be but a dream, they are at least dreamt of. Better this than the bleak void. And yet you call me fool, says Jean-Luc Picard. Thou art the fool. Canst not you see? You would trap shadows in shadows rather than leave them to a chance at something beyond. Selfish fooltry. Exit the fool, says the robot. Oh me, says Space Wizard. I don't know where Wizard came from. If he is right, what have I done? What will I do? And yet I must screw my courage to the place and do it. Delays be dangerous, and I must not delay, lest it be too late to do what might be right. Act 2, Scene 3, says the robot. Enter the astrophysicist and the fool. Astrophysicist, even. And the fool. Where did this astrophysicist character come from? He means the alchemist and the fool, whispered Jean-Luc Picard into the radio, so only the crew can hear. Go with it. Pretend you didn't notice. I thought you said this was a holy text incapable of error, said Jean-Luc Picard. The robot is incapable of expressing emotion, but you would swear that it glowers. My mistake, says the robot. I mean, the alchemist and the fool. I misspoke. The original text is correct and accurate, as dictated to me by the one true bard. The error was in the transcription. What, then, is your plan? Asked Jean-Luc Picard. Wouldst thou continue to drive us onwards towards nothing, knowing all is lost already? What's lost here is any sense of sensibility. I would, said Geordie Laforge. To not forge onward would be cowardice and true folly. We must be valiant, for though we may taste death once, if we fail, then we all taste death twice, first in the failure and second in the absence of success, and yet again after that, thrice, and we meet our own final deaths when such should come. Fool, said Jean-Luc Picard, your tale is an idiot's, your plan full of sound and fury, but leading to nothing but failure. We can but fail. The crew is lost. We are lost, if we adhere to your plan. What harm in't, says Geordie Laforge. My potions are of no use to your plan or our fellow necromancer's plan. They are best suited to driving the ship onward faster to its destination. Your potions, yes, but your skills are myriad like the crew of this ship, says Jean-Luc Picard. If you would but turn your attention to my plan, we might assure our own survival. At least, we may be all that our lives of what once was. Yet you would risk all to save all instead of little to save some few. I would risk it, yes, says Geordie Laforge. And scene, says the robot. Opinions so far? The alchemist was clearly right, the fool was clearly right, the necromancer was clearly right. Right, so, the alchemist... I've got to get my head around this. The alchemist... The alchemist wants to try some experimental fuel, I believe. Or wants to use a few of the bodies for fuel, I think. The fool just wants to survive. The necromancer thinks they should just carry on otherwise. I think that's what I'm getting from it. Well, I don't think the robot likes whoever the fool is, so we're not going to choose the fool. The alchemist... I mean... The astrophysicist. So the alchemist just wants to carry on. Is that right? And then the necromancer wants to. I'm so confused. I'm not definitely going to the fool, so it's a 50-50 chance. I think the space wizard is the necromancer. He is, yeah. So that means the alchemy. So Geordie Laforge wants to try, or whoever the character is that Geordie Laforge is playing, wants to try his experimental fuel. I say we do that. The alchemist was clearly right, says Jean-Luc Picard. Why is that? Asks the robot. Because trying to move the ship faster made the most scientific sense, and we could have saved everyone, and that was worth the risk. Let's move on, says the robot. Act 3, Scene 1. Another room on the spaceship, probably the first one. Enter the alchemist, the fool, and the neurosurgeon. It's all coming up now. You mean necromancer, I assume, says Jean-Luc Picard. Sorry, says the robot. I mean necromancer. Let's continue. Curious. It seems almost defensive. Well, the time has almost come, asked Jean-Luc Picard, or read Jean-Luc Picard, for us to choose one of our plans. There will only be time for one, and we must choose soon lest we all perish. My plan is best, says Geordie Laforge. If we put most of our mystical energies into the creation of a magical potion, we can increase the ship's speed and arrive at our destination before the crew might perish. It will cost us three our lives, for all three must work at it, but it will be a willing sacrifice if it works. If it works, says Space Wizard. My plan will work for certain. We must take all our energies and use them to trap the souls of these poor, accursed crew, to place them within mystical chambers that they might not cease to exist. There must be one to do the trick, and that will be me. All of us will be saved, including you two. Fools both, says Jean-Luc Picard. Our plan would kill us three. One would kill one. My plan is the only one that will save we three. Further, our necromancer brother would kill the body for certain, and hope to save the mind. But what of the soul? And our engineer friend, he would risk all for a chance at nought. Folly and folly. You are afeard, says Geordie Laforge, afeard and selfish, unwilling to risk yourself to save the rest. Nay, I am the least afeard, says Jean-Luc Picard. Fear, that most accursed of passions. My way is not fear. I am the only of us willing to do what makes sense, to save ourselves for certain, to do what is right for right's sake, to not throw away certainty for almost certain failure. You know what? I'm pretty angry. The fact he wants to just waylay. I mean, that's the mission, to get as many people saved as possible. And he just wants to basically eat them. So I say act angry. Jean-Luc Picard. Oh, should have done. Oh, if it was Jean-Luc Picard, he should have been foolish. Oh, never mind. Anyway, I've done it now. Jean-Luc Picard does a good job of acting over the top in rage. Spittle misting the inside of their helmet. The robot doesn't react much. If the play ended right here, says Jean-Luc Picard, I for one would be thoroughly satisfied. Amazing work. Not much more, says the robot. Act 3, Scene 2. Also on a spaceship. Also the same room again. Enter the astrophysicist, the neurosurgeon, and the pilot. Fortunately, none of the crew corrects the robot. You have to wonder if it's doing this intentionally now, or if it's somehow falling apart in the retelling of this story, or if it was written like this to provoke. Your continued scans have proved out one thing, at least. There's no way that a predecessor ship AI could be housed within a robot of that size. It would take systems at least 10 times larger. Either the robot is a portion of the AI, a child AI, such as yourself, or is an independently autonomous intelligence distinct from the AI. The entire time, you've also been keeping an eye on those 10,000 monitors around the room, which it's clear now depict the deceased crew of the ship this station was built from. They seem to be in some sort of loop. To what extent they still exist as sentient beings, it's not much of a sentience. You suspect that this is the reason for the play you're now being tormented with. How Shakespeare plays into it, you have no clue. So we really play up the sad questioning thing for the rest of this. Just hurry up and finish this out and let's plan our escape. Or everyone acts silly. See if you can make the robot upset. You don't want to upset the robot. That's ridiculous. Really play up the sad questioning thing for the rest of this, I think, is the way to go. The crew, with surreptitious winks, indicates that they are willing to go along with your plan. You really hope the robot doesn't suddenly become homicidal at the end. Fool, your line, says the robot. Sorry, says Jean-Luc Picard. Here we are then, we three, players upon this stage. Our parts nearly complete, ready to exit and let what's done be done. What say you to our decision, friends? I fear that hell is empty and we three are devils, says Geordi LaForge. We are all that remains of empty heaven and hell and earth. We three little gods, and we must play what cards we will play, and for good or evil, trust that come what may. It may? It may? That ends kind of awkwardly there. This end is despair, says the Space Wizard. There is no happy end not for all, and that we have chosen. That is not happy for all, must necessarily be unhappy. Those who live will live in torment, which is folly. I fear that those who live will wish a prescription for death before their end. By virtue we are fallen in. Fallen in? Fallen into something. That just ends. As for me, says Jean-Luc Picard, I have thought and thought and thought on this, and what we have chosen. I think in the end it is best. Least words of 3 bad choices from 3 bad men. Yet a choice must be made, and this will be it. What's done is done. We shall not live to see its true outcome, yet we may die knowing at least it was done. That we chose rather than allowed nature to. And I'm not sure that needs an ellipsis here there. The crew reading the lines has nothing more to read, but there's a blank page at the end. I sense there's more to come, says Jean-Luc Picard. The play is not yet ended, says the robot, and this, I fear, was my great lie to you all, players and audience alike. I have not been able to write the final scene. Too bad, so sad, see you later. Everyone gets writer's block, it seems. Maybe we can help him finish it. Right. I think I know how I want this to pan out. I'm going to run it past you guys and then we'll do it. Right, so we are reliving the final moments of the crew of this ship. I think that, depending on how we end this, is how us as crew members end ourselves. So we can either kill all 3, kill one of our crew, or save ourselves and delete, essentially, the people watching. And according to what we've scanned, it looks like they're not going to be... Well, it doesn't seem like they're alive anyway. They seem to be on on a loop. So that makes most sense, I think, with this. So maybe we can help finish him this. I think we know how to finish this, says Jean-Luc Picard. You'll help me finish it then, says the robot. Excellent. But I suppose you must want to know at least which choice they made. Or do you know already? Right, they chose the Fool's plan to save their own lives and let the rest of the crew die. They chose the Alchemist's plan to try and accelerate the ship. Or they chose the Necromancer's plan to transfer their minds into the computer monitors. That is what they've done. They chose the Necromancer's plan, says Jean-Luc Picard. They transferred the minds of the crew into the computer to store their memories. This meant that the Necromancer wouldn't record his own memories and was sacrificed. But why doesn't that work in reality, asked the robot. Because there are 10,000 monitors in here and 2 are unlit. Because this entire play is stupid and we feel stupider for having participated. Or because you exist. But why doesn't that work in reality? So I wonder if the Necromancer is the robot. I'm going to say because you exist. Because there's no robot in the story, but you clearly exist. So there's something missing from the tale, says Jean-Luc Picard. The truth at last, says the robot. All the monitors go dark. The truth is that the 3 of them agreed to the Alchemist's plan, the astrophysicist. We would work up a way that would theoretically boost the ship's engines, enough additional acceleration that the ship could make its way to the destination system in time. But this plan would not work, says the robot. The fool told them, but they would not listen, and he was proven right, though it was too late. The robot goes on to explain the rest at length. The astrophysicist and neurosurgeon did not survive, of course. Adjusting the engine required some dangerous work, and they died from radiation exposure. This additionally required sacrificing some other components of the ship, things that were integral to the AI's main functions. The AI also died in some capacity. The AI was still functional enough to realise that there was no reason to not also enact the neurosurgeon's plan, says the robot. It could not guarantee that the ship, even at increased speed, would make it in time. So it moved to copy the crew from physical bodies into a virtual form, feeling it had no other option. It did not go well. The robot switches the monitors back on. The images are now static. For a few thousand years, the AI remained oblivious to their suffering. Only then did it realise what it had done, moving conscious selves into coffins, each one aware but unable to do anything, to interact, to speak, to cry out, to die. It had trapped them all in their own personal hell. There was no way it could have known, could have foreseen, says Sir Jean-Luc Picard. If it had been elected, that would be grounds for impeachment, if not execution, says Jean-Luc Picard. You can imagine the rest, says the robot. The screens go dark again. It felt so incredibly guilty. It had to remember them, crippled though it was. It should have killed itself. It almost seems like it's guilty and it's trying to sort of get someone else to enact it to sort of relay that guilt. But then again, it is trying to keep them alive, even if it's just in memory on the screens. Ooh. I mean, I've come to the right conclusion just with the wrong thought process. So it's like getting the right answer even though you've done all the working out wrong in a test, which works fine for me. It had to remember them, crippled though it was, I think we'll go with. It turned itself into a robot, says Jean-Luc Picard. It crippled its mind. It became incapable of rational thought, just bad poetry and playwriting. The robot says nothing. The foolish ship, now a fool robot, says the robot. It could not save them, so it punished itself, experimented on itself to try and make their lives meaningless now, somewhat less unpleasant. It turns the monitors back on. See them, it asks. They are not unhappy, far from it. They are happy, blissful. They cannot be happy. It may be limbo, but at least now they think it's heaven, not hell. My tale is told now, says the robot AI. You know the truth, or as much of it as will be told. And you need not tell me your story, because it is like the same as my own. You seek a new home, and I will not keep you from that. Is there anything I can offer? Can you spare any food? We need food. Alas, there is no food available, but no need for it anymore, says the robot AI. But I can provide you with some amount of fuel. Alright, fair enough. In thoughtful silence, the crew returns on the shuttle, ready to continue your voyage. You idly wonder if the lonely AI, trapped in its robot shell, might have wished to come along, but by the time you think to ask, communications with the station go dead. It seems it wishes to be left in peace, now that its story is told. Wow, that was like really, really depressing. Really depressing. Oh, well, there we go. Everyone's got points, I suppose. Nobody died. And that is us done. We've only used up a little bit of fuel. What does it say on food even? What's it say for these people? What we got here? We got the script page. A page from the script that the AI on board the station orbiting Shiner 73S gave Space Wizard to read from the part of the Necromancer. Necromancer, fool, if mortals be fools, ye be the most mortal, I say true. And Geordie's got a picture of the monitors. A suit cam photo of the bank of face-filled monitors on board the station orbiting Shiner 73S. Geordie the Forge says it creeps them out. Yes. And what do you have, Jean-Luc? A page from the script that the AI on board the station orbiting Shiner 73S gave Jean-Luc Picard to read for the part of the Fool. Act 1, Scene 2, still on the same spaceship. Wow. Well, there you go. Well, let's jump to the next side and then we'll end it there. So there we go. We're jumping. And I think this is where we shall... Oh, we've only got the one. Finny 61. And that is where we're going to end this episode. It's been a long one. It's been a depressing one. Lots to think about. Lots to think about. Nothing like being reminded of your own mortality in a game format. But there you go. Never mind. As always, thank you for watching. A like is appreciated. And I shall catch you on the next one. Take it easy.